Oh, hi guys. Do you want to make some origami? I was just sitting around thinking, what might my small humans enjoy doing instead of reading for a few minutes? How about origami? I can show you how to make a crane. This is a crane with some really fancy kiwi paper. That's why it's got all the markings on it. This is a crane. It's not one of those big machines they use for construction. It's a bird, okay? Or you can make a tulip box. And it's a tulip box not because it has a flower on it, because not all paper has flowers on it, but because it sort of looks a little bit like a tulip with these points. And they're just decorative. You could store whatever you want in there. Pieces of your puzzle, or maybe a Lego man, or a rock. How about that? So we're gonna make these two things. And in the first video, I tell you we're gonna make this first, but we don't actually make this first because I lose track of myself because I'm busy running my mouth, just like now. And I go to the next step, which is a crane. They start off the same, but then you do more steps, and that's how you make a crane. So, now that I've made that very confusing, first we're gonna make a crane, then we're gonna make a tulip box. Here we go. One thing you need, paper, square paper. It doesn't have to be fancy like this. It doesn't have to have pictures on it. It just has to be square. Construction paper doesn't work very well because it's very thick and it can be harder to fold neatly. Just regular printer paper is fine. It won't be square because it's going to be paper-shaped paper. You need square. So if you don't know how to make a regular piece of paper square, ask your grown-up. They're really smart. They can help you figure it out. Okay, here we go. Here we go. We're going to do the tulip box. So when you fold this way, it's called a valley fold because you're making a valley. If you fold this way, it's called a mountain fold because you're making a mountain. We're going to start with valley folds. Here's fold number one. It's really easy. Just fold it right in half and make a crease with your finger. You want your corners to be nice and straight when you're folding it. You want to line up the edges as best you can and then make your crease nice and tight. You can use the side of your fingernail. You can also take a pencil and lay the pencil flat and slide the wood part across there, and that will make your crease nice and sharp. So then you open it back up and you've got a valley fold. Now you're going to do the same thing except the other direction. Here we go. So we're really folding our square piece of paper into 4 squares. See that? All the creases in the paper. Here's a tricky part, and you might want to ask a grown-up to help you with this part because it takes a little bit of dexterity. If you pinch your paper like this, you're going to fold it flat by laying it on its side like this. So we took it from the mountain side, and you can go either direction, it doesn't matter, and you're going to flatten it like this so that it looks like this all the way around. This side is attached and this side is open, and you're going to lay it down and make the edges line up and squish it flat. So you see the shape? We took our square and we made it look like this. Now we're going to do what's called a kite fold, and that's one that you will use in a lot of different origami patterns. Sometimes you make folds just because they're going to make the next thing easier, not because you actually need that paper folded. We're going to do that here. See how there's no fold here? We're going to want one, so we're just going to fold half of this side over to make a crease there, and then we're going to unfold it. And then we have a crease where we didn't have one before and a little guideline. If you flip the whole thing over, look, the other side is the same. It doesn't have a crease, so we're going to make one. We're going to fold this over and line up our edges. And then we're going to unfold it, and now we have a crease. Everything still looks the same. We just added a couple of creases, okay? So you have a closed end, and in this paper it's real easy to see where the closed end is because of the pattern on the paper. Here's my closed end, here's my open end. From my open end, I'm going to start my kite fold, and you'll see why it's called that in a minute. You're going to take the top point You're going to leave the bottom one. You're going to take the top one and fold it right to the middle where you made that crease. That crease is a guideline to help you to know where to fold the paper to. See how I folded it just to the middle? I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to take just the top paper and fold it over to the middle and make a crease. See how that top part looks like a kite? We're not quite finished with the kite fold yet though, because we still have these sticking out. So if you take the whole thing and flip it over, we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to take the top piece and we're going to fold it right to the middle where we made the crease. We're going to crease the new line there. You see what's happening? We're really making it look like a kite now. I bet you can't guess what we're going to do. Oh, you're right. We're going to fold this right to the middle. There you go, and now you've got your kite. And if you turn it over and around, you can see where all your folds were, and the open part is right here. Okay, now here's another one of those steps where you're going to make a fold that you don't really need to leave, but it's going to make the next thing easier. So we're going to take the top of our kite, this triangle shape, and we're going to fold it right down to the edge where this paper fold is. So we're going to fold it down like this so that it looks like that, and then we're going to unfold it and we're going to flip it over and do the same thing. We're going to fold it the other direction, and we're just making creases there because it's going to make the next part easier. Okay? I think I told you we were starting with the box. We're not, because I actually just did a step that's for the crane. So let's go ahead and do the crane because I'm a dingling. Okay? We didn't need to do that top for the box, but we did need to do that top for the crane. So up till that step, they're the same, but here's where they're different. So here's the rest of the crane, not the box. You're gonna pull these flaps open on one side of your kite. We're just gonna unfold them, and we're gonna take the top flap and open it up. It's like a big bird's beak. You see that? Mark, Mark, feed me. And you're gonna open it all the way up, and sometimes you have to put your finger in there and poke out the corners. You're gonna open it all the way up, straighten out your lines, and fold it flat like that. I'm gonna redo it so you can see it happen again. So you started like this. You started like this, and you're gonna open up these flaps and pull the top layer only and open it all the way up and make it flat like this. You're never gonna believe what happens now. If you guessed turn it over and do the same thing, you're pretty smart. So same thing on the other side. You're gonna open up the flaps and lift the top layer only. This is where your fold comes in handy, where you folded your little triangle piece, because that is the middle of what you're doing right now, and it gives you a guideline for where to bend it. Sometimes you gotta fiddle with it a little to get it to open up right. Okay, so now both sides are opened up. Here's something that you should notice. This end, everything's attached. You see that? Down here, you got flippy flappy ones. We're gonna work from the flippy flappy end, okay? So we'll call these the legs. We're gonna work from the legs. On the leg end, remember the flippy flappy ones? We're gonna fold right to the middle on each side. So we're gonna take this side and fold in a straight line right to the center. See that? We just took the very top flap. We didn't take both of them. We took the top flap and folded right to the center. Guess what? We're gonna do the same thing over here. Just the top flap. It's 2 layers of paper, but it's 1 flap. You'll see what I mean when you get to this step. Okay, you're gonna fold it flat. There you go. Guess what? Flip the whole thing over and do the same. This flap, fold it right to the middle. Same thing here. This flap, fold it right to the middle. Now, you've still got this pointy end looks the same. Everything's attached. You've got this end that you folded a little bit narrower and you still have the flippy flappies. Okay, here's the next step. Put the flippy flappies pointing toward you. You don't have to do it that way, but it makes it easier later. And we're gonna make another fold that we don't need to keep, but it's gonna make the next step easier. So take one of your flippy flappies and fold it to the side like this. And if you look at your folds, you'll see this fold is kind of a guideline for what direction you want to fold this. Does that make sense? And then if you bend it the other direction, you're just going to crease it again the other direction. We don't have to leave it that way. That's just going to help us later. So we made a crease right there. We're going to do the same thing on this side. Here's our other flippy flappy. We're going to fold it pointing out that way. Do you see what we're doing? And then we're going to fold it the other direction, still pointing out that way. And then we can unfold it again. So now you can take one of your flippy flappies and turn it on its side like this, because we're going to open this side. Okay, if you look at your flippy flappies like this, the legs, turn it on its side and open this up. And right where you just folded and made that crease, you're going to turn that inside out. What? This whole leg has to get turned inside out. So let's back up a second. So right now it's folded this direction. When you're done with this next step, it's going to be folded inside out. Okay, so we opened it up and we folded it inside out, and now you have to turn the rest of it inside out, and you just do that by pinching it all the way down to the tip. Okay, just like that, and then crease this part so that it's nice and flat. Can you see that? Guess what we have to do now? Same thing on the other side. So you open it up, and right where you made those creases, because remember you folded this like this, that's where your crease is at. So you fold it inside out right along that crease, and then you use your fingers to flatten it all out. Okay, now it looks like this. We're almost there. You see where we're at? So you can pick, because it does not matter at all which end is going to be the head and which end is going to be the tail. I'm going to make this end the head, and I'm going to turn just the tip of this inside out so that it will make his head right here. So I'm going to open this up just a little bit, and I'm going to fold this down. See how I'm folding it? Now I'm going to pinch that together. And there's his little crane face. Peck, peck, peck. And here's his tail. What's the last thing we need to do you think? He's going to have a hard time flying with his wings straight up in the air, isn't he? So if you fold one wing down, there'll be just a little point sticking up the back of his body. Flip it over. Fold the other wing down. And then if you gently pull his wings apart a little bit, you have got yourself one really terrific crane. Look at that. What do you think? I think you can do it. Maybe watch the video again, pause it when you need to figure out the step. There's a lot of YouTube videos out there to show you how to do this. Watch all of them, because I might not be the best origami teacher in the world. Okay, my dears. We're going to try this again. Here's the tulip box, remember? So just like the crane, we're gonna fold to a kite stage. So here we go. We're gonna pretend that you didn't watch that other video, so I'm gonna tell you stuff you already know. So your first fold is a valley fold. Remember, we make a valley like this. We're gonna valley fold right in half. We're gonna line up our edges, make our crease nice and sharp, just like that. And when you've got that done, you're gonna open it up. And there's our valley fold. Look at that, yay. Okay, now we're gonna valley fold the other direction. Left to right, top to bottom, whichever direction you wanna do it. Just fold it in half so that you've divided your paper into 4 squares. Okay, remember this is the weird pinchy part. Grab an adult if you can't do this and have them watch this, and then they can help you fold it. So you're gonna pinch one of the creases and flatten out your paper. Looks a little bit like this. And line up your edges. And from your connected end is the best way to crease it right down the middle. So you turned your big square paper. You did 2 valley folds to make it divided into 4 pieces. And then you did this pinch fold to make it square again, but smaller, okay? Then your next step is one of those folds that you don't really need, but it's gonna make the next thing easier. So we're gonna go side to side. See how there's 2 layers here on the sides? We're gonna go side to side and make a crease down the middle of that. And we're gonna do it by just folding it over, lining up the edges, creasing it, and then unfolding it again. Guess what? We have to flip it over and do the same thing on the other side, because look, there's no crease here, but we need one. So we're gonna take just the top flap. See, I took just the top flap instead of both. Gonna fold that over, line up my edges, crease it down the middle, and then unfold it again. And look, there's a nice crease right there. Now, same with the last thing we made. There's a closed end where everything's attached, and then there's an open end where it's not attached. So working from the open end where it's not attached, you're gonna fold the top flap just to the middle. You made that crease so you have a nice guideline so you know where to fold to. So you're folding your top flap just to the middle, okay? Then you're gonna go over here and take the top flap and do the same thing. Top flap. See how it's shaped a little bit like a kite? But we still have the back part. We need to take care of that. So you're gonna take your whole paper and flip it over. Here's that nice crease that you made, and you're gonna do the same thing on this side that you did on this side, okay? Top flap only. You're gonna fold it to the middle. Give it a nice crease, okay? Same thing over here. Fold it to the middle. Give it a nice crease. And there's your kite, okay? So from here, our next step is to open up these flaps, and we're gonna do a squash fold. And I'm gonna show you how to do that. So let's pick a flap. It doesn't matter which one, but I'm gonna start with this one. And my paper is real easy to do this with because it's a different color on both sides. So I know that this is my flap, and I'm gonna put my finger in here and flatten this out and line up my fold. See my fold mark right here? I'm gonna line up my fold mark there with the rest of the fold down here and squish it flat. You see that? So we started like this, and we're gonna open up this flap, put our finger in there to open it up, and squash fold it so that it looks like that. See how it almost looks like one of those bathrobes that has a little hood on it that you can wear after you get out of the bathtub to keep your head warm? That's what it looks like to me. Guess what? We're gonna do the same thing on this side. So we're gonna unfold it a little bit, put our finger there to open it up, and line up our creases from our folds and squash it flat. Doesn't look like a kite anymore, does it? It looks almost like a math shape. Okay, we're gonna flip the whole thing over because we have to do this on the other side. So here we go. See how it looks from the other side? Still looks like a kite on the top, but you can see where our squash folds have opened it up back here. We're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna lift one flap and open it up with our finger and line up our crease marks. Squash it flat. Guess what? One more. Same thing. Okay, there we are. Here, this one gets a little bit tricky, but I know you guys can figure it out. So if you turn this on its side, you can see there's no green here, right? We did all of our squash folds facing front and back, and these are the sides. So let's fold it so that our squash folds are inside like this, and we can see the flat parts. Okay? So once you've done that, you have these really awesome crease marks here to show you what to do next. We're gonna start on this side, and we're gonna fold right along that crease mark. So take the top layer and fold the crease mark right to the center line. You see where that landed? We folded right along the crease mark that was already there, and we folded right to the center crease mark. And we're going to do the same thing over here. We're going to fold the top layer to the center. We're sort of back to a little bit of a kite shape, but it's not officially a kite shape. Guess what we have to do? Yep, you're right. Flip it over. So we have to do the same thing on the other side. Here we go. Can you see all of our nice crease marks we're going to use? So we're going to fold this one on the crease mark that's already there. Fold it right to the middle. See that? Same thing on this side. These are real easy to fold because there's already creases there. Okay? You're not going to believe this, but you're done. You just folded a tulip box. Do you want me to show you how to open it up? Okay, I will. So if you fold your little flaps down on the front and the back, then you can open it up the other way. Fold that one down. Flip it over. Fold that one down. Now all of your little points are folded down out of the way so that you can open your box up. So if you put your fingers inside and just gently push on the inside, you can flatten out the bottom of your box. And if you want to, so that it'll sit a little bit flatter, you can just carefully pinch a little crease in there. I don't usually do that, but you can. And it will help your box sit a little bit flatter when you put it on the table. Okay? And when you turn it back over, ta-da! You have a magic little tulip box. Look at that. Great job, guys. I would love it if your parents are okay with it, if they posted a picture of your finished creations and shared those with me. That would be awesome. I love you guys a lot. If there's something else you want to learn how to make, I know how to make a couple more things, but I will definitely teach myself to make something if there's something you want me to teach you, okay? I'll see you later.